Hi, this is Dr. Atta from DestroySocialAnxiety.com, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about mindfulness, which is currently discussed as the almost mainstream technique to help alleviate stress, depression, and anxiety. I wanted to tell you a little bit about what it is and what role it could play in addressing social anxiety. So essentially, mindfulness is another word in my view, it's another word for meditation. The definition is that its ability to focus on the present state of emotions, and the idea is to do it non-judgmentally and to be in a moment. So that concept is quite old, and it's based on in many cultures. It's present. I think more prevalent is in Buddhism, and that's where majority of meditation technique come from, at least in the Western world. And it's been applied more and more generally in mainstream culture because of, first of all, it's fairly easy to implement it, because all you need is a room, an instructor that can guide you properly and put you in a state that you need to. And essentially, it did show some positive results on a variety of mental states. The idea is that once you focus on the present moment, you're able to detach, because when you are in a certain state, you're responding to what's going on right now. The general idea is a depressed person is the one who is focusing on the past, worrying about what I did wrong and all the mistakes I've made, and I'm depressed about it, and all my failures. Somebody who is very anxious kind of thinks about what will happen and catastrophizes the future, and at no time they can unplug. And mindfulness or meditation allows you to unplug. And there is a situation in which you do not think about the past, you do not think about the future, you are here, there, and that allows you to relax. This is a state that is rare generally for busy people, and it requires some practice to get to the point where you feel some relaxation. I believe the main proponent of that technique is Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn. I'm pretty sure he's based in California, and he developed several techniques. I think one of them is called mindfulness-based stress reduction and mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, which is essentially the idea of designing a specific meditation module to address the stress reduction and aid with cognitive behavior therapy. So the main benefit, like I said, is ability to switch off and get this our state of mind, which is usually very, very wired, in the way that it's not wired or not as wired as before. The key here is, again, doing it properly with the right guidance, doing it regularly, and doing it at a sufficient amount of time. The question of how much time you need depends on who you ask. There are people who say that you require at least an hour at one time. There are people who think this time can be condensed into much shorter period of time. And generally, the key again is, first of all, doing it, and number two, doing it on a regular basis. There have been studies, and it has been shown pretty convincingly, that if somebody engages in mindfulness on a regular basis, they get tremendous benefits in terms of depression symptoms, sometimes pain symptoms, anxiety symptoms, and so forth, so on. If you add to it exercise, which we spoke about before, the effect is even better. Those two elements, exercise and mindfulness, is very powerful in helping achieve the lower anxiety level at baseline. The negative from my standpoint is that it still does not address the core of the issue, which is if you are socially anxious, regardless of how much meditation you're going to do, at some point you will have to interact with another human being. And very often, even if you are in the best possible mental state, that still does not transform into a real life situation. Sometimes it does, very often it doesn't. And therefore, nothing substitutes a true experience of interaction with other people. And that's where exposure comes in. In my view, the best possible option is a situation where somebody engages in exercise, typically cardiovascular exercise or aerobic exercise on a regular basis, uses the techniques of mindfulness, and in addition uses the exposure. The exposure, in my view, is the key. I think it's much better if you do those two additional elements, but without it, you are not going to get to the level that you really want to be. The problem, again, with doing physical exercise and doing mindfulness is that at no point it really challenges you. To some degree, one could argue that mindfulness exercises could challenge you because you are in the typically environment with a group of people, but typically it's a focus on you and there is no interaction, no challenge whatsoever. It is my opinion that if you do not challenge that particular issue, there is not much progress to be made. You will feel comfortable, but you will not make progress, and that's how it typically is in life. If something is easy to achieve, then usually you don't get the results that you need. So again, very positive and useful technique. With another benefit of basically there is no downside to it whatsoever. Doing mindfulness will never hurt you, as far as I know. It will have only positive elements, add positive elements to your life. However, it likely will not get you where you want to be. In other words, if you are a person who does not interact with people at all, no amount of meditation will change that. And I haven't seen evidence of that whatsoever. However, it's extremely helpful to aid that process, and it's extremely helpful with generally improving your well-being. And so these are my few words on mindfulness. Thank you very much.